Oh, hi. Okay, so I'm speaking again from space, which is usually where I am. Uh, this time, well, it's not important what I'm doing on the screen here. I'm just doing some surface mining. It's one of those chores that has to be done in this game from time to time, and it's been a long time since I do it, and I'm basically running out of stuff. And you can trade for a lot of this stuff, but you have to have something to trade with, so once in a while this has to be done, and I thought I'd finally get around to it. Since the pulse wave analyzer seems to be broken for some reason. Frontier seems to have screwed that up in the last update, so hopefully they'll fix that. Till then, mining's a little annoying. Anyway, that's not really what I'm here for. I guess before I get to the main thing, if any of the regulars that play on that other game on the Epic server on the weekends, last night they were playing there, and I kind of disappeared off the server all of a sudden, and that's because my internet service provider decided that my modem was just going to stop working there, and I had to reset it, and that took about 5-10 minutes. And this was later in the evening, and by the time I got back, the server had died. So no, I didn't rage quit. I just lost my internet there momentarily. What else did I want to mention? Nothing much, really. The main thing I was here for was I get up here on YouTube in different places, and like everybody else, I like to type in my cute little comments to various things, and usually they're cute little one-liners, like oh, that's very clever, or so's your mother, or nice hair, or whatever. Once in a while, though, I just get a wild hair, and I'll type in a couple of paragraphs of junk, and I enjoy that because it just proves that, by golly, I must do some thinking once in a while, even if it's really bad thinking. At least I'm doing something. And well, like most people, I don't feel like I get enough attention. Not nearly as much attention as I truly deserve, so I decided that next time I got on a tear and typed in a couple of these paragraphs, I'd go ahead and basically transcribe it here into one of these worthless videos and put it out into the world, and maybe one or two more people would see it or hear it than they would otherwise. So in this case, what I'm commenting on is this recent video, well, more or less recent video from the Intercept. That's their channel. That's one of these news outfits. I think they like to call it the mainstream media or something. I think that's the buzzword they like to use these days. It's the Intercept, and well, I'm sure they're just a bunch of worthless liberals and so on. But anyway, they have this video up that they put up on August the 28th. The title of it is the U.S. Social Fabric Unraveling? System Update with Glenn Greenwald. Okay. Well, I watched this, and basically what he's talking about is he brings in a lot of statistics about suicide rates in the U.S., which apparently are very high and have been getting higher for some time. He points out that they've been getting higher since before the coronavirus outbreak, and he asserts that the coronavirus outbreak has exacerbated the situation. And well, I guess where the U.S. social fabric unraveling comes into all this is that he's asking if society is falling apart. I guess that's what he's asking, and is that why these suicides are happening? And I guess he wants to naturally, I'm guessing he wants to come up with some ideas as to why this is happening, of course. So, anyway, I decided to comment on that, and I apparently I did ramble on at some length, so I just wanted to transcribe what I commented to that. And I'll just go ahead and read this verbatim, more or less. I might expand a little bit on one or two points, but I don't want to get all strung out and do a lot of digressing and so on. So I'll try to just get through this. All right. So basically, I'm sure so. Let me try this again. I'm not a professional speaker, although I talk to people all day as a matter of course, but I'm not good at it, so let me try this again. I'm sure social fabrics can and do unravel from time to time, sometimes even to the point of complete disintegration, no doubt. If you want to start asking for the ultimate causes of these kinds of things, I think that's a pretty tough kind of question. I think human societies in general are basically emergent processes. That is, despite what politicians tend to say and might even believe, and despite what most people seem to think, the progression and the ultimate fate of the societies they live in isn't really something that human beings actually control, either individually or in groups, to anywhere near the extent that, again, a lot of people would seem to think. And even coming up with meaningful analyses for the overall progression or behavior of large societies seems like a doubtful exercise to me pretty often. You can take a lot of statistics like suicide rates, but what is the ultimate cause? Do these numbers really tell you anything beyond what the numbers actually say is happening? Yeah, sure, a lot of people are unhappy. There's lots of division. The good old USA, long the beneficiary of some pretty amazing historical windfalls, isn't finding so many huge loads of tremendous good fortune being dumped on it on so regular a basis anymore. What I'm referring to there is things like the glorious white religious pilgrims coming across the ocean and happening across an entire planetary hemisphere of untouched wilderness, full of arable land and valuable minerals and so on. Things like that. The United States basically inheriting the control of the entire global economy following World War II, a war in which basically every other major industrial power bombed each other into oblivion while our industries profited from the war and remained more or less untouched by the war, putting us in a position to dominate the economy for decades afterwards. Things like that, that's what I'm talking about. But let me go on and get through this. Where was I? But anyway, the world has always had lots of societies that have been obligated to cope with circumstances even far worse than ours, and yet they managed to adapt and survive. Why would one society break down and another not in such cases? For example, this commentator, I'm sure, wants to suggest his ideas about such causes. He's saying the social fabric may be breaking down, and he'd naturally like to tell us why he thinks that's happening, and maybe even what we could do about it, right? Okay. Right-wing reactionaries, I'm sure, would have their own explanations, in quotes, up to and including your baby-eating Jews, or whatever other idiocy people might like to come up with. There's no shortage of such rationalizations, as reasonable or as clearly deranged as you might want to find. But I think whatever the real causes are would be a lot harder to find out than that. When you see AI experts talking about trying to figure out what some of their bigger, more complicated neural networks, the ones they're having so much success with these days, are actually doing inside their structures, you hear about the difficulties they have with that. What chance then can someone like me, therefore, have of understanding a much larger and more complicated network like your social fabric? You know, I mean, what are the chances that I could reach up my ass to my elbow and whip out an opinion that's likely to approach anything like the reality of the situation? Seriously. Basically, I'm saying human societies really are like ant colonies, only much worse. Ant colonies function entirely on the basis of a few very simple basic instincts programmed into each individual ant. And the behavior of the ant colony is the collective sum of the behaviors imparted on these ants by these instincts. Anyway, whereas in human societies, you've got all this grand cognitive superstructure built up on top of whatever primordial instincts we still have. That is, we're like the ants, but we don't operate just off a few simple instincts. We've got entire brains going on here. We've got these minds that are operating on rational levels and emotional levels, you know, all kinds of things that ants just don't have. And the sum of all our behaviors defines our society, but our individual behaviors are much more complicated than the ants. Right? Okay. Yeah, so we have these grand cognitive superstructures built up on top of whatever primordial instincts we still have, filling the same function of defining the societies that humans collectively create. Well, that's pretty much all I had to say. Yeah, I mean that's the main thing I'm getting at, is that I think societies are. Our intelligence gives us some ability to try to analyze and rationalize and understand society as a whole. But you're talking about, seriously, to be realistic. I mean, I think you have to be realistic and recognize that the society you're trying to understand consists of hundreds of millions of individuals, you know, and to think that we really understand what's going on in that society, what the ultimate causes of things like these unravelings or whatever they are, I don't know. I just doubt it. I just seriously doubt it. I don't think anyone can really say what's going on with that. Like you can generate statistics. The statistics can help you understand what is happening. But as to why it's happening, well, good luck with that. Good luck with that, you know. I mean, you vote for who you think is going to do the best, but it's basically a crapshoot. And the odds, I think, are not with you generally most of the time. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. Anyway, that's all I had to say about that, and that's all I want this to do with this video. So, yeah, I gotta get some sleep so I can go back to work, because this is my one day off this week. If you don't mind me complaining about that, that's all I got to say. I'm just up to my rear end in overtime, man. It's wearing me down, I tell you what. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Y'all have a